All right. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Crossing. Welcome to Crossing the Streams. I had a frog in my throat. Welcome to Crossing the Streams, where we answer the universal question: what should I binge watch next? I've already watched something, and now I got to watch something else. What should I watch? Well, you've come to the right place because we've got over 130 hours of streaming suggestions on our YouTube channel. This is episode 133. Can you believe it? Woof. Longtime friends of the show, Fred, Carroll, Zack, Wiseman are here. Let's kick things off real quick with the theme song. Let's let Zack kick it off.
Nice. Well, here's the story of some lonely fellows who spend way too much time watching the TV. All of them have jobs and friends. Well, not really. Just between you and me.
Fred.
They made a live show out of their hobby. Every TV watcher's TV watching dream. Jeff, Ron, Sal, and Bob, and there's Marcy and a bunch of other people that aren't here right now. They call it Crossing Streams.
Sal, take it home.
And then one day they went live on all the platforms. You could hear the people laugh and shout and scream. Still can't find another word that rhymes with platform. But man, we cross the streams.
All together now. We cross the streams. We cross the streams. That's the way.
We cross those streams.
Oh, wow. That was
Jerry.
Jerry. Oh, I forgot to take it off. So we were going to have this huge show, and hope Ron and Bob Phillips get better soon. They both have COVID. Marcy didn't have a microphone, but we're here and strong. I guess the only thing I can think of, did you guys see the new? I didn't even know there was a new Ghostbusters movie coming. It's like, there's a strike, and all of a sudden there's like all these movies. When they make these movies, so maybe they
shelved it for a while.
Maybe this one definitely looks better than the last one. I'll tell you that. This one seems a little bit more like the original Ghostbusters, maybe at least in the same vein. They're back in New York, it looks like.
Yeah, I'm really up in the air about Ghostbusters. Like, 1 was great movie, obviously. 2, kind of a stinker.
Yeah, they stretched that budget.
A real stinker.
They're looking for the money.
Yeah, and then like the one with the female cast was just a terrible movie. And not because it was a female cast. It was just, it had 4 people that had the same exact character development. They're all the same exact character, and it just wasn't very good. And then you have this like layup Force Awakens kind of revitalization of Ghostbusters with like the Paul Rudd one. And I mean, they're really holding strong on some like 30-year-old nostalgia right now, because there's really no reason for this movie to be good. Yeah, but I'm excited about it.
I feel like the last one was like Stranger Things episode 5 or something. It went that way.
Exactly.
Well, here's the problem I had with the last one. This is where that movie lost me. Okay. One, I thought they tried too hard just to get the original cast in. It's like, either do it or don't do it. And so Paul Rudd's character, and don't get me wrong, I love Paul Rudd. He could be in everything. I'd be fine with that. Okay.
Sure.
But so Paul Rudd is immediately positioned as an expert on Ghostbuster lore. He knows everything that happened in New York, everything, right? So then Harold Ramis's kid in the movie finds the ghost trap, right? Brings it to Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd's like, that's a ghost trap. And so what if you know somebody, if the character is an expert on all things New York and what happened, and he's presented with a trapped ghost, what should his first reaction have been? Well, I'll tell you what it shouldn't have been, what it was. Let's open it. Let's open it up. We gotta open this up. Oh, it's like, really? Because you're the expert. You were established as, now, if they didn't establish him as that and he did that, it makes perfect sense. And this event is the event that has to happen to make the rest of the movie make sense. And that so didn't make sense and so rubbed me the wrong way. I just couldn't enjoy the rest of the movie.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. There's so many things about especially a lot of movies now, but you just watch it, you're like, oh God, all right. Well, now I don't care. Oh God, now do I even want to finish this? The same thing like in Ghostbusters, like that scene was terrible, but then they show Baskin Robbins again, and you're like, what is going on with this kind of stuff? Like, just make a movie, tell a story. I don't know.
Yeah,
But I mean,
I never
I get,
saw it, so I'm glad I only saw the original.
yeah,
it was filmed well. They filmed it very well, but they should
Yeah.
with budget. That budget, you should always have a good film.
yeah. It did look nice.
It
That's
was,
true.
and like the kid from Stranger Things, all of a sudden they're all real good with those backpacks immediately. It was just like there was no like real, and I get it's not realistic, but there was no even fundamentally
Yeah.
acceptable time frame that this really made sense that they'd be able to figure out all these things.
Yeah.
I was Jerry actually.
Not to hop subjects, but
No, please.
when you open up, you said there was a frog in your throat. It got me thinking, and I don't know if you guys have seen, but the Muppets Haunted Mansion is on Disney Plus, right? And I'm like, oh, I didn't see that. I love Muppet movies, especially ones with Will Arnett in them, because I love the humans that are in Muppets. I think that's great. And so I watched this movie, and Kermit's voice, I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but Kermit's voice is not a frog anymore. He's just a guy. Like, he doesn't have that Kermit voice. He's speaking.
Yeah. Huh.
And I'm like, oh, this just sounds like a guy in a James Gunn movie. It's
Huh.
crazy because like his voice was the thing, I was like, Kermit's voice was the iconic. Like,
Yeah.
even during song, it's like this voice is perfect. And then
Well,
you have people like replacing him, not even trying.
Huh.
Well, maybe the problem now will be solved now that the actor strike is over. Am I
Oh,
too
true. I guess they had a bunch of writers doing these voices.
Oh,
When
really?
did they make
Okay.
this movie?
It came out in 2019, I think.
Oh, that shouldn't have been an issue then. Back then.
Yeah.
No.
I don't know. Maybe they just, is it even close, The Voice?
Maybe the
I
maybe
think
the real
I
Kermit
think that
voice.
if
guy
I
died or
genuinely
something.
would have heard it,
You
and
mean
somebody's
Jim
like, who
Henson
is that?
style? Yes, he died.
Yeah. Like, I think if somebody just played me this voice and I just cold heard it, I do not think I would have guessed Kermit first. I would have said the larger guy who is in Peacemaker.
Oh, John Cena?
No, like large, not large.
Oh, okay.
large, not large?
Yeah, you know what I mean?
All right.
Like me large, not like Sal large.
Yeah.
Sal's got
Got
the
it.
Sounds a
Anyway,
stud.
I was just let down. Like I'm just let down by movies anymore. They're just
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of bad ones, man.
it's just content. It's not real. It's just content.
Well, somebody said this. Did somebody say this last week on the show? Like everything's a remake. There's nothing original. What the hell? Why? Everything's got to be remade. I mean, I know, every single movie that comes out. Well, this was the sequel to this or this.
Yeah, I think it was.
Marvel
I think it was
movies and just.
Well, Marvel ruined movies.
I think
permanently.
Jeff said it that this is the first time in 23 years that the number one movie is not a sequel. That's insanity. 20 years of just sequels, franchise.
Yeah.
People aren't trying anymore.
I don't know.
I think I
Maybe
read
original stories or something. I mean, obviously there's some great original dramas out there, but nothing. When was the last big comedy? Big, huge comedy, huge comedy.
I did see a TikTok and it was like more adaptions. Like there's been a lot of great adaptions where the movie is named something else, but it was based on is based on Emma.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Got
where they take literature but make a different spin on it or a different take on it. But that's why they're usually probably good because they have strong structure. But yeah, everything is. I mean, even The Force Awakens was basically just actually Star Wars.
Oh, it's just Star Wars.
Yeah,
it's like New Hope splashed with a little bit of Empire. But except this year you have Oppenheimer and Barbie and I guess Mario. Mario's still kind of franchise, but not movie wise. So
Sure.
this year they're actually people putting out films and trying to do some stuff. Because Barbie was great. Oppenheimer was long, but good.
Very good.
Oppenheimer was
Very, very
I-
good.
I liked Oppenheimer, but I got to watch it again because
Yeah.
other than knowing he built the bomb, that's all I really knew. And so I found it a little confusing the way because they time jumped and assumed you, I think, knew more than you probably knew.
Yeah.
I think going back, I could be able to go, all right. Because I did think it was really well done.
I
It was
loved
really interesting.
Oppenheimer.
It's
First,
back.
like
It's back in IMAX too.
yeah,
this
I
week.
saw it twice. The first time I saw it,
wow.
I was like, "That is a bunch of boys talking." That's all. That is all that movie is. It's a bunch of buds just talking, just really talking about stuff.
Robert Downey Jr. is great in that too.
He is great. Everyone's great. I mean, Cillian
Yeah,
Murphy,
everybody-
is like
everybody
phenomenal.
was good.
Everyone's great. Yeah,
But now you could watch it, Jeff, knowing that in black and white they're representing one thing, and in color they're representing another. You know that now going into it.
Right.
You had
Yeah.
to figure that out watching it the first time.
Oh, you know what I did on October 21st?
What?
I went and saw Back to the Future in the movie theater.
Wow.
Oh,
He
cool.
went back to the
I'm
past.
back. I remember showing my kids Back to the Future, I don't know, 5 years ago, introducing that movie to them. Keep in mind, in that movie, remember, the future is what is it?
2023.
2015.
or
Right.
2015.
Well, but in the right, I'm trying to think. When does the movie take
Well, it's in
place?
the 80s, 85.
Right, it's 85, right?
Yeah.
55.
So I remember this. So my young daughter goes, "When's the future part?" Yeah, because it was a.
Yeah, we don't have
Yeah,
the
that's
flying
funny.
skateboards.
I tell you though, it was super enjoyable. That is by far one of the best movies I think ever
so
made.
good. So
Ever
I
good.
agree.
made.
So good.
It's just completely solid through and through. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it based on a weird premise, but one of the most perfect movies ever put to film.
Yeah.
Because like,
couldn't
hey,
even do
what if
that
I went
film
back
now.
in time and kind of liked my mom?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Let's change that a little bit. Let's change that a
A little
little
weird.
well, it's,
Well,
it's
the
funny
mom
when
liked
it's
the
funny
mom
when they
liked
do
the
kiss.
son, right? Really?
Yeah. And when
Yeah.
they do kiss, and she's like, "This is like kissing
Yeah.
my brother."
And I think like John Mulaney has a bit where he talks about like, why are they friends to begin with? Why is
Yeah.
Doc and Marty like an old crazy man and a teenage high schooler? Why are they friends? How do they know each other at all?
He's so good, man.
Yeah,
His
Yeah,
stand-up
they
is
really
great.
don't explain that. They never
No,
not even a
explain
little
it.
bit.
No, they don't.
The only complaint my wife had about the movie, which wasn't a complaint, it was more of an observation, was that Christopher Lloyd basically looks exactly the same in both time periods.
Yeah, he does. He does.
He doesn't actually age, or when they go back in time, he's not actually.
They just
younger.
mess up his hair a little more
Yeah,
as he's older.
it's that white hair, but it is
Yeah.
that Marty where your kids are. Oh my god!
He
Okay.
probably loved it in makeup every day. He didn't have to do shit.
All right, let's talk. We got a few shows to cover. Last week we talked about the Mothman Prophecies, Suits, which are just finished season 7, and Catfish. And today we're going to talk about Supermench, Invincible, and Sly.
Sly.
And Sly. Those are some good ones.
Sly.
Let's you know what? Let's start with Invincible. This is Amazon original, and
Okay.
Zach, take us through it.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I'm a comic book super fan. Love comics, always have for a long time. And a lot of people don't know this, but Invincible was actually created 20 years ago. So all the concepts that are in Invincible have been created, 20 years ago, put in comic form, and has been running for a while, which is great. Now the show came out last year. It came out in 2021 on Amazon Prime. And its creators are Robert Kirkman, Ryan Otley, and Corey Walker. And if two of those names sound familiar, it's because those guys also created Walking Dead. And I think that that's probably the coolest thing to say about it, because if there's one thing you know about The Walking Dead, is that it is gory and it is bloody. And I think that's where Invincible takes a step away from most superhero tropes and movies, really. A lot of people say there's superhero fatigue, and I disagree with that. I think that there is franchise fatigue, which I think Marvel is really kind of, it's messing a lot of stuff up just as far as what content comes out. But Invincible is it's a special kind of content for superhero fans, but it is extremely R-rated. It is very bloody, and the basic premise of it is you start out this show with kind of like the Justice League, right? You got like a fake Batman, you got a fake Aquaman, you got a fake Wonder Woman, just different versions of these, a facsimile of these, and they're just protecting the White House. They're doing their thing. And one of the guys, his name's Omni-Man in the show. He's like their Superman. He calls like a meeting, and this is episode 1. And in the meeting of these 7 superheroes, he just murders them all, just destroys them all, like the goriest, like just a hand through people, just ripping people's faces apart. And you're like, whoa, what is happening here? So that's episode 1, is you learn that. So the whole series is you watching everyone else in the show try to figure out what happened to the best superheroes of all time, why Omni-Man is the only one that kind of stays. And what you learn is that Omni-Man came here the way Superman did, but instead of being a protector, he was actually here to just put everyone in line and just be like, look, you follow me or we're going to just destroy you. And that's what they do. They go put their seeds all over every planet, and then they just want to just oppress and control. So most of season 1 is kind of like that. It's the unraveling of like a murder mystery with a lot of people. But you follow this guy, Mark. Mark is actually, he's voiced by Steven Yeun, who is from The Walking Dead also. But, currently he's in Nope. If you guys have seen that new horror movie, Nope. Great actor. You also have J.K. Simmons in the show. You have Sandra Oh. You have Britta from Community. So the voice casting in this show is just phenomenal. So you have some great content and you put some great voice actors in here. So Stephen Yeun is a 17-year-old high schooler named Mark, who is the son of Omni-Man and a human. And so he's just getting his powers. So he's like trying to connect with his dad, who is this alien, super being, while also being in high school, having a human mom. So season 1 goes on, and it came out 2 years ago, and it was a really good adaptation of a comic book movie, but top tier as far as superhero content. Because where Marvel is just quippy and cute and trying to sell things to everyone, this thing is just brutal start to finish. So season 2 starts, and when you finish season 1, you learn something pretty specific about the dad, right? And when season 2 starts, Mark and his dad are together being friendly. And you're like, wait, that is nowhere near how the show ended. So what season 2 does is they kind of start this multiverse thing. And unfortunately, it kind of feels like it's piggybacking off the majority of other content by being a multiverse movie. But in the comics, which once again came out 20 years ago, on episode or issue number 12 of the comics, this guy comes in and he has the power of hopping through multiverses. And they're doing it in a really clever way where he's just trying to find himself in every universe to gain that knowledge of himself. And so it's not done like in a multiverse, let's go find George Clooney kind of way. So I'm excited for season 2 because season 1 ended. You also have Jason Mantzoukas, who's one of the funniest voice actors of all time. He plays a character here called Rexplode. So now that season 2 has started, I'm especially looking forward to it because it is great content if you're into comic book superheroes. The visuals of it kind of make it feel like a kid show. Like it looks like a child show when you put it on, but immediately you find out that it is for adults. It is really deep as far as thinking goes because Mark's got to figure out if he wants to save his planet or have a relationship with his father. And honestly, which one of us can not say that we're going through that? Like we're all trying to deal with our father issues while also trying to save our own planet. So I love the show and I'm super hyped. I was hyped for season 1. It got such a budget jump for season 2, and you can tell immediately. It's great. And if anybody else on this panel is watching it, I'd like to see what you guys think because I thoroughly enjoy the show.
Okay. I'm not, man. Are you guys? No, wait. What is it on again?
Amazon.
It's on
Prime.
Amazon Prime.
Amazon.
I saw
Yeah.
season 1. I haven't seen season 2 yet, but yeah, season 1 was. It's exactly how you say. It's really, really good. It's funny how Amazon has this and The Boys, two kind of takes on and unique takes on the superhero genre. And so it's not, and I agree with you, it is franchise fatigue. It's not that I don't want to see the Marvels. I don't even know if I'm prepped enough to see the Marvels. I don't know if so it's like, am I even going to understand half of it? I've put in 20 years and, now it's just like Loki episode 1, I thought went in 50 different directions. It seemed good, but I was like, I don't want to be this confused. This is why I stopped watching Westworld as well. Season 2. Well, season 1 was great, right?
Yeah.
But then
No,
season 2 was like, how can we mess with you? You'll have no idea ever. And we just, and I'm just like, I don't have time for this. I really don't. Yeah. And so, so I'm excited to dive back into this one. This is one of those watch without the wife shows. She doesn't watch it. So everyone needs something that your partner doesn't watch.
Like
I watch every show without a wife.
Me too, Fred.
Yeah. Well, when it becomes your choice, Fred, I think that it matters more.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, right now you're forced on that.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Marvels, did you see that last trailer for the Marvels?
Which one was it?
It's the one where there's like shots of Robert Downey Jr. and shots of Chris Evans and shots of Thanos, and you're like, wait, I thought the Marvels was supposed to be just this quirky little, these three people are swapping, positions, but now they're like, through all these years and beating Thanos, it's like, oh man, now you got to shove more MCU lore onto it. So now it doesn't even, because you watch the Marvel movies and you're like, well, I got to stay for the final thing to see who the commercial for the next one. I got to see who the big name, cameo is going to be. Got to see which one character out of a full universe shows up. So, but that last trailer just shocked me.
It's getting pummeled on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
Pummeled.
Yeah.
And there's a rumor, which I won't spoil because you can look it up, but there is a rumor of the big reveal in the post credits. But but it's like, all right,
Yeah, cool.
If Deadpool at this point, I can't remember the last good Marvel movie. And did you know that Scarlet Witch was dead? I didn't even know she was dead, but apparently she's dead.
I don't even know who she is.
Elizabeth Olsen.
She died.
Well, apparently, she died at the end. No, she died at the end of Doctor Strange 2, apparently.
Huh.
I have no recollection of that.
I don't remember her dying, but
I
can remember her being scared of her kids being mad. Huh.
But somehow in the book, in like whatever Marvel books where they, document stuff, it says she died. Yeah.
Huh. That's crazy. But
anyway.
That also breaks most of their rules anyway. So, but whatever. The last good Marvel movie.
Whatever.
Endgame, maybe.
Whatever. It was great to hear Zack.
I enjoyed Spider-Man. I enjoyed the Spider-Man with all the Spider-Mans. So
Spider-Mans.
Yeah.
Zack gives good reviews. Zack's a good reviewer.
Yeah.
He is a good reviewer. It's very good. All right.
Very good.
All right. Well, let's see. Let's see. I'm sure you're good too. So let's just see how.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There he is.
I'm fantastic. Chef
the legend of Chef Gordon.
So does anybody?
Cool poster, man.
Yeah, it is. It's a very cool thing. It came out quite a few years ago. It's just something that I've always wanted to talk about on here, and unfortunately, I didn't even know what a mensch was. But I looked it up. I've heard the term, and I know all that. I've heard people call other people a mensch, but I thought it was a bad word. I didn't know. I didn't know the difference. But with this, that's a person with integrity, morality, dignity, and a sense of what is right and responsible is what a mensch is. So this guy is a supermensch, and he really is. He really is. So Shep Gordon is all of those things I mentioned and more. He is also, to this day, Alice Cooper's manager. Okay. Since 1972 till now, they're still best friends and they still have no contract. That's how close they are.
Wow.
There's no contract with them.
Is this a documentary?
Yep. It's a
Okay.
documentary of this guy's life because he's somebody Mike Myers made this film. This is a Mike Myers film who is very close with this gentleman also. So Shep Gordon isn't somebody you even have heard of. And once you watch this, everything that's touched your life, he's already been a part of. This guy has had his hands in so many things that have affected your life or you have seen in your life. You know, you have just a quick version. To give you a quick version of how this all happened was he left college in New York. He gets a job at a prison. First day on the job, he gets beat up by the prisoners. He says, screw this, I'm going to California. He quits his job first day. He gets to California and he checks into a hotel. He checks into the hotel and he hears a woman screaming and he thinks she's being sexually assaulted. He runs down there and gets punched in the face by the woman. Now he's been beat up twice in 2 days. Okay, 2 days, he's been beat up twice. He's like 22 years old. The next day he runs into that woman and it's Janis Joplin. And she points over to the guy who she was really making love to, and it's Jimi Hendrix.
Whoa.
Okay. She wasn't being assaulted. It was her boyfriend at the time. This is how this guy's luck, his whole life runs into these things. But that's when he starts hanging out with these people. And Jimi Hendrix gives him advice. And I know this isn't for today's world, but back then, Jimi Hendrix says because he's Jewish, he should be a manager. That's what Jimi Hendrix tells him. He says, I've never managed anybody. Who should I manage? He says, Alice Cooper. I mean, this is just what is being shot off in a day of this guy's life. And this doesn't even touch what he's done since then. So they become friends. Jimmy makes all those assumptions, recommends his business card be a peace sign because people like the V. So they named it Victory or something like that. So this guy goes on. Here's a list of some of his clients in his lifetime. Anne Murray, which makes no sense, but it ties into Alice Cooper, but it makes no sense. Anne Murray isn't half the talent she is without this guy. This guy created her whole life from when she was young. But it's Anne Murray, Blondie, Teddy Pendergrass, Luther Vandross, Ben Vereen, Frank Valli, Gary Wright, George Clinton, Gypsy Kings, Groucho Marx. He was Groucho Marx's final manager. Kenny Loggins, Pink Floyd, Pointer Sisters, Raquel Welch, and Rick James. Okay. These are all clients of his at one time or another. Pink Floyd, not for very long, 3 days. So, but he's also, here's a list of his closest friends, his real closest friends. Michael Douglas, Sylvester Stallone, Alice Cooper, Steven Tyler, Willie Nelson, and Sammy Hagar. These are his regular friends that he's just tied into. And also the Dalai Lama. This guy is in charge. I'm serious. He is on the board of the Tibet Fund with the Dalai Lama. The Dalai Lama has slept at his house. He has a room just for the Dalai Lama to visit in Hawaii. And not only that, his house in Hawaii is open to all his friends. It's never locked. And if you need to get away, his doors are always open and he welcomes you with open arms. And this is where Mike Myers came in. He was, I guess he went through a issue with his wife during the Austin Power era of things. He had a tough time. He stayed with him for 7 weeks. No questions, nothing. So this guy just gets better and better. You know, This is nothing. How about this? Not one of these celebrity chefs would exist without Shep Gordon. He's the one that created the Food Network and created all these celebrity chefs because he was dating one and saw that they weren't getting paid fairly for what they were providing. So now he's the manager of all those guys which is Emeril Lagasse was the top one. He's the one that put his spices on the shelves.
Yeah.
He's a marketing genius, an absolutely marketing genius. I mean, even in the marketing of him, this guy will break the law for marketing purposes. When he was first in charge of Alice Cooper, they went to London and Alice Cooper had nobody buying his tickets because parents, nobody wanted anything to do with this guy, Alice Cooper. So he rented one of those billboard signs that drive, on the truck, the back of the billboard.
Yeah.
And he purposely broke it down at 5 p.m. in Piccadilly Square, right at the main hub of London. Broke it down and told the driver, even if you get arrested, I'll get you out of jail. And he did get arrested for it. But the sign was there so long that the show sold out because he knew kids loved getting their parents mad. And if this was a way to do it. So he just put a big picture of the billboard was Alice Cooper naked with the snake wrapped around him. That was it. And
That's
parents
awesome.
hated that. So this guy's also, just to give you a few more things he's done. He's a partner of Sammy Hagar in Cabo Wabo Tequila. He was part of the creation of that.
Jesus.
He's also partnered with Willie Nelson on Old Whiskey River Bourbon. Okay, he's his partner on that. But here's the best thing this guy did. He dated a supermodel back in I think it was the late 70s, an African-American lady. And she was beautiful, stunning. She passes away later in life. He adopts her 4 children.
Wow.
Not even dating her anymore. Adopts all 4 of her children and raises them as his own, provides them with a home, education, and all their stuff taken care of.
Wow.
All 4 of the children. So the guy,
What's this guy worth?
I don't know what he's worth because I get the feeling he gives it a lot away. I mean, it's it's a fun, funny, and heart-wrenching because
great, man.
all this gentleman wants is a wife. He happens, now, this is so many years ago. He always wanted a kid. He had his first kid finally at the age of 68. He just had his first kid and he is married now. But I'm telling you, it's not available currently on streaming to stream, but I found it on, I believe, Amazon, and it's $3.99. And I've got a guarantee here. If you don't like it, Jeff will refund your money for all cost. He'll double it. He told me he'll double it. He'll double the cost. That's how much we believe in this film. But the guy is truly, there's so many things in this film that you're going to look at and you're going to go, wait, he did that and that and that.
Wow.
Just his girlfriends alone are a list. The girls he's dated and how he's picked them up and stuff. It's quite amazing. And he has a great laugh. He has a great laugh that they make fun of throughout the whole show. And that's what all his friends join him for, is his laugh, because it's just a deep inhale. But I just can't every time I watch it, I can't get past how lucky this guy has been in his life to just go to that one hotel and get beat up by Janis Joplin.
Wow.
Started the whole thing. So it's available. It's good. And also I have a book that's available that just went on sale. So if anybody wants to buy a book, my new book dropped on Amazon. Shameless plug. Shameless plug,
right.
Jeff. Thanks, Jeff. That's it.
That's all right.
That's
Great
great.
job. Yeah,
Everyone
I'll see
should
that.
buy-
I'll definitely watch that.
And Jeff is a mensch too. You're a mensch too, Sal. I'm going to give you the mensch.
All right.
Where'd our other
Thanks.
boy go? What happened to Zach?
I don't know. I think we lost that.
Did I bore him? I give him a compliment on his review and he bails.
He doesn't watch yours.
All
see
right.
how
Well,
it is.
let's finish it up with Sly.
Why?
Well, hey, like to follow Fred's footsteps here, I did a documentary as well. Everybody knows on here that I like to do documentaries. We are discussing Sly. Thanks, Jeff. This is for Sly Stallone. We all know his his life. We all know his career, but this documentary really dives into why he made some of the movies that he made, how he got started in this business. I never really knew his really younger days. They kind of delve on that a little bit. It's an hour and 36 minutes long. Parts of it, not to go into detail on his life, because everybody on here, this panel, knows his life, and we all know his life. But how they did it was really cool. He obviously narrates it, a lot of it. They also have superstars narrating it. Like there's Arnold Schwarzenegger's in this a lot. Some of his directors that he's had throughout the years and stuff like that. So there's other people narrating his life and talking about his work ethic and stuff like that. I loved how they started it off and talked about his dad. I didn't know his dad was so like rough on him. Very, very military kind of father. Was jealous of his success later on in life. He had a very, very bad relationship with his father. And some great scenes with his father too. Even towards the end of the documentary, Frank Stallone calls Sly up, and they kind of have this, like, I don't know if they have it on video, how they did it, but he's calling him up saying, "Hey, Dad, Dad's getting close, and he wants to see you, and you haven't seen him in a long time." And I thought that was kind of weird how Sly hadn't seen him in a really long time towards the end of his life, and he goes and hangs out with him and stuff, like literally on his deathbed, and they have like video footage of it. And then they go back to Sly today, and he's kind of like in his kitchen or whatever, and he's talking about it. He says, "My dad's on his deathbed." He says, he kind of pulls me in. I give him a big hug and a big kiss, and he says, "You know what, son? You should treat people. You should treat people right." And Sly's like telling the story, like, "Yeah, now he talked. Now, Dad, now you tell me to be a good person." It was kind of a really cool moment that he had with his dad there on his deathbed, and he shares that with the audience in this. It was really cool. Also talks about his childhood. He went to 13 schools in like 12 years. He was just a troublemaker, just got in trouble, just not a very good kid. So that relationship with his brother Frank, and a lot of jealousy in his life. He worked hard at it, and one of the things, obviously, he went to Hollywood. He was this thug character and everything he played early on. And then he got into, he got a part in a movie. It's drawing a blank. One of his first movies, The Sugar Bush or something like that.
Lords of Flatbush.
Lords of Flatbush. Sugar Bush. Lords of Flatbush. And,
Sugar Bush.
That's part
about
two.
a small town that made chocolate.
But he gets this part, and they show kind of scenes of it. And I saw that movie a long time ago, but I didn't remember. But if you notice, there's a lot of Rocky in his character, and it kind of got, the movie didn't do that well, but he kind of got really good reviews in it, and but he still couldn't land anything, and he couldn't get anything other than the thug part. So obviously that's when he's penning Rocky. And I didn't know this about this, but I knew that, obviously I knew that he wrote Rocky, but it wasn't a boxer at first. When his original draft, it's just this thug character that kind of wobbling through life, not finding himself, kind of a loner, and a kind of a works for a shark, a gambling shark. That was all it. The boxing came later. So I thought that was kind of cool. And he kind of goes on. And a lot of the scenes in the footage in this documentary, he has this wall, who knows how many houses the guy has, but he has this wall where every one of his movies is on it. But it's not like done up like really nice. It's just all handwritten. It's something that he kind of did. And he kind of looks at every movie, and he kind of talked about it a little bit in the documentary. They would show that scene, and they showed a lot of his notebooks of him writing all his movies and stuff and his ideas. And I guess he just writes a lot, obviously. But I thought showing that in the documentary was really cool. And they go through almost every one of his big movies. I mean, obviously they go through all the Rockies real quick. Rocky 1 and Rocky 2, obviously the filming of it. Talia Shire's in it a lot, kind of talking in today's age. And it's just really cool how they did that. And I love some of his ideas, like the movie Fist. I think that was one of his movies that he did after Rocky, because when Rocky hit, before Rocky, he was obviously no one in the industry. And then when Rocky won the Oscar, became a superstar overnight. He talks about that, how it affected his life, and how he didn't get to see his family a lot. His daughters were young, and he missed a lot of events, a lot of graduations, a lot of that kind of stuff, because he was making a movie. And that's when he would go to that wall. He would show like a movie he was making where he missed, his daughter doing this. And he had, obviously, like everybody else, he had some regrets on some of his movies that he did. Just really cool. He's like an inspirational guy. I don't know if anybody out here follows him on TikTok, but I follow Sylvester on TikTok, and he's just a very inspirational guy. And this shows in this documentary as well. Just some really, really cool stuff that you find out just about. Obviously, his movies are his life. Even if the movie's not about his life, obviously he's not a boxer in real life, right? Rocky is a love story. And another thing that's really cool is he plays these cassette tapes throughout the whole documentary. And what it is it's an interview that he gave to a New York Times reporter, like in 1975, like right after maybe a couple of Rockies or something. And he plays that interview throughout this documentary, him talking about like his life. And then he would comment on what he was saying back in the day, right? And he was talking about Rocky to a obviously a New York Times journalist, and Rocky's obviously listening to himself, or Sylvester, and he's like, "Say it was a love story. Say it was a love story," and he's never saying it. Sylvester Stallone, back when he was 30 years old, wasn't saying it, and he was saying all this other stuff, and it was so funny to hear Sylvester Stallone talking about himself, going, come on, Sly, younger Sly, say it was a love story," and then he never does, and then Sly looks at the camera and says, "It's a love story," is what it is. And anyway, really, really good documentary. I loved it. Just some really cool stuff. Again, some of the stuff that I was saying about in the movie, like he goes, my first place that I ever got in New York, it was off Balboa Street, and that's how he got the name Balboa. I mean, just little stuff like that that got into his movies and stuff. And he never wanted the action killer. He never wanted the hero or the evil person in a movie to die. That's why he didn't like the original ending of Fist. He's supposed to die in that labor union movie that he did. And the director obviously won, or whoever wrote it or whatever, and they showed it. They had a screening of it, and it bombed. People were walking out. They hated that the character died at the end of the movie. So they changed it to his idea. And that's now the movie. If you see the movie now, he obviously lives at the end. Now, the movie never really did that great, but at least he won that argument about not letting the person die. That's why Rambo doesn't die. Obviously, Rocky never dies. Other people die, but not Rocky. So anyway, that's just one thing that I found out that was kind of interesting. He doesn't like, he hates sad endings. He always likes happy endings and stuff, and or not happy endings, but endings where somebody doesn't die. And I don't know. That's about it. It just kind of culminates into his life now, how he's looked back on all of his movies, and like we mentioned when we were talking before the show started, his daughters kind of come into the picture towards the end. He gets his idea for Expendables by just like people wanting to see like older bands, like people, you hear these old bands, and he says they got like 5,000 people out there. People want to see older bands. Well, they also want to see older action stars, and that was his idea for Expendables. But he got like beat up in that, man. They show him in the hospital, and he had 5 back surgeries throughout his life with all these movies he did. I kind of skipped over the Rambo part. There's a big part about his Rambo series and how he came up with that idea, and how he was basically competing with Arnold Schwarzenegger in the 80s and not all those kinds of movies. And anyway, big star, good documentary if you're into Sly Stallone and seeing how everything came together for this guy. But he's real inspirational, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
I'll have to look up some of this guy's
So
name.
Sal,
What's his name again?
Sly.
I'm just kidding.
Sly. Sal, do they talk about I know his father wasn't very active in his life and stuff, because at one point Howard Stern had Jackie Stallone and took a phone call from her ex-husband, the father.
Oh, okay.
was a huge.
Yeah, well, the father, to be quite honest with you, what I got out of this documentary, the father was an asshole.
Yeah.
I mean, right after he makes Rocky, the dad, they did a movie, they did like a independent movie back in the day where his dad was actually in the movie. The first movie he ever made was with his dad and his brother, and they kind of showed clips of it and stuff. And his dad like shoots him in the movie and then has to beat him up and stuff. And Sylvester's telling the story saying, my dad kind of beat me up a little too good, like it wasn't acting for some reason, So he kind of talks about that. So he had this contentious relationship with his dad. Well, he's a no-name actor for so long. Obviously, he makes Rocky. It blows up bigger than anybody ever freaking imagined. I mean, even his family. Do you know what his freaking dad does? So now Rocky's out. It wins the Oscar. Sylvester Stallone's on top of the world. Everything's good. I thought this was a joke in the documentary. His dad goes to his agent or something and says, "Hey, I've got a movie that's even better than Rocky." And the agent's like, "Are you like kidding me right now? Like, what are you talking about?" "Oh yeah, this will be unbelievable. This is the real Rocky. What my son did was okay. Yeah, it's okay. It won the Oscar. It was okay. But I got the real thing." The director, I forgot who it was. I can't remember the guy, but the guy's like, I thought he was kidding around, but the dad was being serious. Like, that's how envious and jealous he was of Sylvester Stallone. He was trying to go behind his back to do a movie. I mean, and he was being serious. I mean, so yeah, his dad was kind of a jerk, man.
And he was a hairdresser.
Yes, he was a hairdresser, and but he did a little bit of acting back in the day and stuff like that. So his mom was a cigarette, she just sold cigarettes in bars back in the day and she made a lot of money. She made the money for the family and stuff. So anyway, great documentary. Talks a lot about his mom and dad.
What about his son? Does he talk about his dead son?
Yeah, they have a nice moment where obviously he put him in one of his movies and stuff, and
he's in Rocky 4, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's in Rocky 4. He's the son. Yes, the kid. Correct, the kid in Rocky 4. And yes, he's
not the kid in Rocky Balboa when the kid's
not now. But they have a nice moment with that. They probably spend about 4 or 5 minutes on his son, and then he wraps it up with. Yeah, it's very nice, very very well done documentary, man. Very
right.
Well
I mean, check it out.
Yeah, check it out, you guys.
This looks so good. All right. Well, that was a good show, and thank goodness Zach went first. Everything worked out perfect.
Everything worked out, you guys.
Everything worked out great.
I hope the other two feel better.
Yeah, I hope Ron and Bob feel better. Get well soon, boys.
Yeah, feel better, guys.
Fred, thanks for joining us. Zach, thanks for joining us. And Sal, do you want to pitch anything? Or you want to...
Hey, SalDamelio.com. Come out to Genetti's every month. And I will be in Myrtle Beach at the Comedy Cabana at the end of the year if you're down there. Other than that, go to SalDamelio.com and listen to the Sal and Bob Show.
Yeah. Fred, pitch your book again.
Pitch my book. So my new book, When Your Ego Throws a Pity Party, Go Alone. It's an almost memoir. It's about trauma and living through it and surviving. It's a good book. Came out well. It's available in all formats. Audiobook has just been uploaded, so that's about 3 weeks out. But other than that, it's for sale. It's on Amazon. It's available. Ebook, hardcover, softcover, and also on Dude in the Hen House.
Dude in the Hen House.
Dude in the Hen House. That's my podcast. And
I'm
that's
Jeff.
it.
And I'm Jeff Dwoskin, Classic Conversations. Check out my conversation with Sal Rubinick and a lot more good stuff coming up. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Take it easy, guys.
Bye-bye. And that has been another episode of Crossing the Streams. Join us every Wednesday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, live on Facebook and YouTube. Follow The Jeff Dwoskin Show on YouTube to be alerted every time we go live with your hosts, Jeff Dwoskin, Ron Lippett, Howard Rosner, Bob Phillips, Sal D'Amelio. We're all in the socials. Follow us, listen to our podcasts, Classic Conversations, and The Sal and Bob Show. Check them all out, and we'll see you next week and every week when we cross more streams right here. See you then.